Welcome to Decluttering Your Life for Not tonight. I'd like to welcome you to my show. Tonight is about decluttering using your tuition to have and enrich your life. For a lot of us, we wonder sometimes if we go down one street and then we have an, inkling that we shouldn't, or something happens in our life and we wonder why it happens, and something beforehand told us not to do it. Now, a lot of it's our gut. Our gut has, a strange way of telling us things that we may not. For a lot of us, that's an accumulation of experience and maybe other things out there. I know for myself, my gut is a very powerful thing and it's a wonderful thing, but I remember when I used to not listen to my gut, and I got in all sorts of trouble. And life was a lot more difficult when I listened to my head instead of my gut, and not realizing it. I also didn't listen to my heart at all. But when I started listening to my head and heart, and basically that was my gut. And that was my intuition. All of it was put together in one package. And a lot of us who are clutterers or hoarders or chronic disorganizers, we forget about doing those things. And we wonder why our life sometimes is in a mess, because a lot of times I know for myself, I lived in my head. And when we live in our head, we forget about our hearts and our physical space. And you know what? It's not always an easy thing to do to listen to your gut when your head's telling you to do something else. But one of the wonderful things about when you learn to declutter is you learn to listen to your gut. And life becomes simpler and less complicated because you realize that, things you thought were difficult at one time are not so difficult. You may wonder what I mean by all this. And for a lot of us, sometimes it's an intangible and sometimes it isn't. I know for myself, I wonder why, something happens in life. Like I've listened to my gut now that tells me if I go down one street and I don't go down that street, I listen to it and I don't. And then I decide, you know what? I go on someplace different. I go down another street, then I don't go down the freeway. And then I notice the freeway's all backed up and I keep going. That was my gut telling me that it was all crowded and I was going to go anywhere or get anywhere fast. Well, how does that relate to decluttering and decluttering about intuition, enriching your life? Well, when we clutter our life, we have no intuition because all we can think about is the stuff we have. And when you all think about stuff, all that, the intangibles in our life, we forget about. And when you forget about intangibles, which includes our mind and spirit, we get caught up in so many physical things that we begin to wonder whether life's worth living. But when we pass over into the threshold of learning that we can declutter and start listening to our heart and our head together, that's intuition. And that's a great sign of recovery from hoarding or cluttering or chronic disorganization. And that's an important point I'd like to make here, is for many of us, life is wonderful when we can get to that point. I know for a lot of you folks wonder how you can get to that point. The one point I can give to you guys to get to that point, to start down that pathway, is to realize that you do have a heart and that you do have a head, and the two are connected. And for the best way to start listening is listening to your gut. It's a little voice inside that says, something's not right here. And inside, you kind of have all those emotions. Emotions are kind of like your guide, and they act as your guiding light. And that's also part of your gut, and that's part of your intuition. And that's a big part of the intuition are your feelings and how you're feeling. If you feel bad about a situation and your gut is telling you that doesn't seem right, it probably isn't right. And when you're feeling good and things are going great and your gut kind of gives you a warning signal, that's something to listen to, because there could be something coming up that you may not be aware. And to kind of wrap this all up in a neat little package, I would have you open yourself to the idea of decluttering your life and enriching it and listening to your gut, because many of us don't. We live in our heads. Don't live in your head. Listen to your heart and head together. And then that you have your intuition coming. And when you bring in your emotions, that's a wonderful guide for your life. And with that, I wish you a great Declutter's Delight for Life. And with that, blessings to you, tranquility and peace, hope and love, kindness and compassion. Have a great night, and blessing to you all.